and the intersection of Webster and Thayer. I received all the reports. The traffic study for Lewis is completely different than the one for Webster and Thayer. And I'm not sure I understand why the same traffic studies aren't done for each place.
I'll have to look to see what, I don't have it in front of me, I have to see what the differences are. I can't answer that right now.
Well, the only thing that Lewis Street got was a monitoring of speed. And then what happened with
Webster had site distance issues, I recall.
well, there's some site issues on Lewis and Fulton as well, but it's, with Webster and Sayer, it was an intersection issue. With Lewis, it's everything between Heckman and Hudson. And I know that the average speed came back in the report is 20 miles an hour, and that is not the case. Chances are what lowered that average is people just pulling out from the
I'll work
road.
again with the police department, but the speeds have to come from them, we have to rely on their data. But they did do some data collection out there, that was the result.
Thank you.
Well, I would really request another one be done, because we can sit on our porch all day long and catch people flying up the street. And I'll be honest, I'll be the first one to call media and say, listen, for years people have been trying to get a stop sign at Fulton and Lewis. And something serious is going to happen. I've been over in that house over 20 years, and I've witnessed multiple accidents. One that pushed a car almost all the way up to the alley. So, I mean, it's bad. It's very bad. The speed it's like a race fight. It's a speedway. And
So
sooner
I'll
or
relay that
later,
information back to Chief Stettner, that's where it starts, man.
Well, take what all the officers
So,
have.
okay, so what we'll do is we will refer this back to Chief Stettner, which is the first step. Chief Stettner will then, well, we personally can't, I would have to probably pass a resolution or ask the mayor to pass it along to Chief Stettner, have Chief Stettner do a traffic study for Lewis Street and Fulton. I personally, I share the same sentiment as those on Lewis Street. I do feel that it does need a stop sign. Dan knows where I stand. I had pulled him aside before taking the oath of office back in November. I think, was it November?
well, I also believe that it was Mr. Sharp that said if we couldn't get a stop sign, we'd get a speed bump. And he said we couldn't do it in the winter because of the plows. But now here we are mid-July and we still don't even have a speed bump, so there's nothing on Lewis.
So,
Why is there no attempt to slow cars down on that street? The highest reported, according to the report that was sent to me, was 52 miles an hour.
Yes.
that came from the police department?
Yes.
And it was 52
The
miles an hour?
highest that they reported on that street was 52 miles an hour.
Stop sign out there. That's kinda- Okay, so I know we have to follow steps, right? Stan, I gotta be honest, I do believe that a majority of us would be in favor of a stop sign there. But if we have to start with Chief Stettner, we'll start with Chief Stettner, but by the next meeting, Mayor, you think we can get him out there before the next meeting, so the next meeting we can get a report?
Absolutely, I did speak to him about it tonight, and he wants to speak with Stan, and once they speak, he'll be here at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, my last issue is living across the street from a house that a landlord just purchased.
144 Lewis Street.
144 Lewis Street, that's right. I know that he broke ordinances, I know he broke laws, and I know he wasn't cited, and I want to know why. This was a golden opportunity for this town to start setting a standard for landlords to follow the ordinances, and it was ignored. He was not cited. We have seen those people living in that house before the CO, and nothing was done. So I want to know why we're not enforcing these ordinances for these landlords to abide by the rules, because if we've got to start somewhere.
May I?
Agree.
If I may, just a little bit of backstory. Ms. Ford was 110% correct, and I do believe that the inspections department dropped the ball immensely on this one. So much so that I do think they should go back and cite the landlord at 144 because of all the proof that we had that they moved in prior to obtaining a CO. It wasn't just 144 Lewis Street, it was also 733 South Main Street. The landlords are getting out of control in this town, and you're right, it's a missed opportunity, but I don't think we have to miss it altogether, Mayor. I do believe that we can go back to the inspections department, and me personally, I personally don't care about excuses. If we don't start somewhere, we'll never finish. So we need to do something.
We did start the conversation at 144. It's the same landlord, I do believe. I'm not sure about
It's
733.
the same landlord.
It's the same
733.
landlord. I did talk to Kevin Duddy, and he said we'd get on it, but I think you had put us onto something else before.
And more than likely I have. I know I email you guys every day, but it's just
Something we went out to right away.
residents call me day in and day out, and I try and address every single matter. But the inspection, this is where I know we need another inspector, but we need them to seriously get out. So when we send them an email, we have all of that.
Right.
They really should go out and cite them.
I will see if we can get an inspector out tomorrow to 144 to see if the CO, I'll find out about the CO, you'll get an email.
The CO may have passed by now, but I do have proof that they were in the building prior to.
Before the CO.
Right.
Oh, they were in several nights, and they go out the back door.
And Ms.
The landlord
Kleiner
leaves the key in
did
the mailbox.
contact
so
them.
That should not happen. That
Right.
should not
Ms.
happen.
Kleiner, and it's through no fault of your own. I'm not. You understand my heightened voice is just because I'm tired of landlords. To be quite honest with you, especially ones that abuse the practices as they do. So, Ms. Fuoco, I hope to have a better answer for you other than we dropped the ball by the next meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. My name is Doris Stinson. I'm at 1041 Ridge Street in Phillipsburg. After tonight, you guys are going to hate me. You know why? Because I've got tough questions to ask. People want to know on Facebook, what's going on with the Ice House and Agway and how many fines have they been cited for? You know what? Forget the signs. No more signs. You, look it, I'm telling all of you, that is the gateway to South Main Street, and it looks like a dump. You know what? I'll tell you what, I've been to the Bronx, I've been to Brooklyn, it looks better than that, and that's really, really bad. Okay. Second thing, Phillipsburg now is about 20% black. How come no public workers are black? When are you gonna start hiring black people to do this public service jobs, and maybe even the Bridge Commission? Third is, when are the police going to get body cameras? Because right now we have a police officer who is on paid sick leave for the rest of his life, $65,000 a year plus benefits. We already have liability from the shooting of Thomas Reed. He's now on sick leave for life. Maybe if he had a body cam, both of them would have stopped and thought, this is going to be on camera. Maybe we're going to wait and think this out before that whole incident.
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've met a lot of fine black men. I tell you what, going down that laundromat, I'm not kidding, no. And they're welders, they're mechanics, and they're having a hard time, part-time work. The economy is still not that good. So I said, look, if you'll do like public service work, with the public works, but none of them ever seem to get hired.
Council President Mann.
Absolutely, please.
Yes, we do have two black employees. We have a tax collector, and we also have a police officer, and it's something that we look at diversity as much as we can. Right now, we're looking for Hispanic speaking upfront counter people because we deal with a lot of Hispanics in our code office and different nationalities. That it's a very, very, how can I say, an important need of ours. It's just that we don't hire all the time. It's very.
You just hired what, 4 people in the last year for the public works department?
No,
whatever.
the council just gave us one, which we hired, and we hired one last year. We do hire seasonal employees, but I will tell you that the applications, and there is someone here that could attest to it. we don't get a lot of applications. We actually have to hunt. As a matter of fact, we have one volunteer from the chamber, Lauren Spence, who was a Spanish major who has offered to come up to the municipal building to speak with different nationalities when they're trying to get code permits and stuff. It's a very difficult thing to do, but we have broke the barrier.
Well, I think it needs to be broken more, and I have met.
I don't disagree.
I have met the black police officer, and quite frankly, I like him.
Yeah, I do
He's
too.
very nice, very courteous, very friendly. You know, I want to see more of him, and I don't care what town you got to bring him from. You know. And then too, we got to start cultivating people in this town. Look, hey, we're going to need more police officers. You know, to the high schoolers. Hey, you know, go to VOTEC, take that criminals justice major or whatever. But we may have to start looking out of the town to get a more diverse group of people working. Because you can't just walk into becoming a police officer. Usually it's 2 years of an associate's degree or maybe 4 years of a law degree. So the body camera issue, what's with that? Because we do have a lot of money for signs. I think the state has been giving out grants to get body cameras, if I'm not mistaken.
Council President. We had just had a discussion with the chief about tasers. It was going to be tasers first. We do have an ex-state trooper here that could speak to this much more intelligently than I. Once we get these tasers and get the people trained, it would be body cameras next. They're very expensive.
Well, as
don't
I
know if
understand, there's already
Councilman
4
McVeigh-
police officers who are trained to use the taser, but in the state of New Jersey, a taser has to have audio and video recording. So what is the problem? I mean, all you have to do is buy the taser. You already have 4 officers trained from that, and I heard it from a police officer. And I've also discussed this issue when Todd was president. So,
We are definitely forward, and we'll continue the conversations. Get them in the armory, get them out of the old building, and get tasers in their hands. I wholeheartedly agree with you 100%. We just lost our K-9 unit, which was very important to us, and very expensive too, but very necessary when you're chasing someone. I will continue to have those conversations with the chief of police, and I encourage you to come up here and keep questioning us until we get them.
well, okay, how about the Ice House and the Agway? How come you can't put the mobile phone cell tower over by the Agway, and that alone would pay for all the repairs?
Yeah, the Agway, we just put a tarp on the roof. It needs a little work. We don't own the Agway, but we took the liberty of condemning it and putting the tarp on it to save it because it's a historic structure. We just kind of did that. I don't want anybody to hear that. But anyway, that area is very important to us. It is the entrance to Phillipsburg. And there's more to it, Council President.
But where are you going to get the money to do this? Because you know what, taxpayers are already having a hard enough time.
Ms. Stinson, what I would do is we have reached our 5-minute limit, but I'd like to invite you back to ask some
Yes.
of those tough questions to Chief Stetner when he's here at the next meeting.
I don't trust them.
Uh,
You know, I read the newspapers, I'm sorry, the whole
With that being said,
the whole family.
I hope,
Council President.
yeah, we need to move forward.
Council President, real quick, we just didn't put that tarp on for the aesthetics. What was happening is the shingles, the nails on the slate were rusting off and they come down like guillotines. It was actually dangerous. So the tarp was catching those slate shingles, those slates, before they hit the ground. It was a construction code official's decision to make the building safe. We just don't go tarping people's homes.
It's safer, right? Okay, we can move forward. Ms. Paulus?
Liz Paulus, 26A Glen Avenue. I'll continue on the subject of the Agway building. The town holds a tax lien on it, going back to 2014. Why has it not been foreclosed on?
There's 2 federal IRS tax liens in front of it as well as a county tax lien.
Okay, why did it take so long to tarp it? The tarp was purchased back in September of last year.
I can answer the question. The tarp was ripped upon delivery. We had to reorder the tarp. Now we have an extra tarp, but anyway. We did it as soon as we could.
Alrighty. I will also continue with Connie's concerns about landlords and inspections. I pulled out the property next to my house, or close to my house, 16 Glen Avenue. They had an inspection back in 2016. It failed for about 15 things. And I think that was in October of 2016. December of 2016, they pulled a permit to rewire the basement. That permit's still open. They never got a CO for the inspection back in 2016. I had sent emails to the inspections department about this property starting in May. The response I got back was, well, don't worry, they're going to be getting an inspection again. And I told them, I said, you know what, a new family just moved in there. Is there not something in place for the inspections department when you have properties that have failed or have open permits for them to be flagged that they need a follow-up? So, getting on to another subject, I have submitted Oprah's. I'm waiting for the activity log of Stephen Ellis, Mayor Facebook page for June 16th, June 27th of 2018. When will I get that? I made that request on June 27th. I asked for an update on July 10th.
I answered one of your
Yes, it was for the blocked users.
The blocks, but I have
Now I
the
want the
blocks.
activity log.
I do believe, but counsel, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe I pushed that up the line to see if it was a legitimate request. I'm not sure, I gotta check, do you recall?
And I recall receiving the request, Mayor, but I can review that with you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't, it wasn't ignored, it was pushed up the
It
line.
was non-responsive. That's ignored.
Big fish to fry.
Oh, I do have big fish to fry.
No, I do too, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I have other requests that, you know, I'm not getting all the information, whatever. But most recently, in reference to your Facebook page, I do believe it was Sunday morning, you posted pictures. I'm assuming that you think that you're being stalked. And I posted a comment in reference to that, because I do believe when you talk about liabilities, I think you're the biggest liability of this town.
I know you do.
Not just about your Facebook page, but your emails that I have opened and that I am in receipt of, as well as some other Facebook posts that you have made. I think there are two people in this room that you owe an apology to, and you should hope that they do not sue. And there's also another person that you most recently made inappropriate remarks to. So I really think that there has been enough talk about you shutting down your Facebook page that you really should heed everybody's comments. about it.
Right, I would think
Because
that,
it is a liability.
Council President, if I may.
Yes, please.
I think that's my First Amendment right, and as you read Sunday morning, if I don't laugh, I will cry. I have been drugged through the gutter for the last year, as you well know, and if I just have a little fun, I'm sorry if it
Do it on
offended
your
you.
private page, not on the mayor Facebook.
The mayor's Facebook page is not associated with the town of Phillipsburg. I just want you to know that.
I can fight that one.
I have to tell you this, and I say this as genuinely as possible. I sit here at night during the council meetings and I say, well, I get out of here unscathed. And I say, if I do, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket. And if I don't, I'm going directly home. I want you to believe, and I know you probably won't, my heart is about this town. It is not about my self-fulfillment or self-gain. I've done what I wanted to do. And I'm looking back now for my children. I have young children, a lot of young children. And Mrs. Paulus, if you don't believe that, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what to tell you.
You have a funny way of showing it.
You see, I disagree with you when I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning at a fire and you're sound asleep, and I could go on, and I don't mean that as an offense, but whenever that phone rings, I am there. constant, I'm
And
there.
I do the same thing
24
with
hours
my
a day.
job too. I get woken up during the night
Yeah,
too,
you-
because that is my job.
Yeah, it is
Which
very,
if you do recall, you attacked me personally with my employment, just because I come here and I voice my opinion in exercising my First Amendment right.
Ms.
well,
Paul, it's,
what's fair is fair.
it's been 5 minutes, I'm just,
Thank you, Council President.
don't be nervous.
My name's Rita LaRose, I live at 79 Summit.
Hi Rita, how are you?
Memphis.
Don't be nervous.
I just want to talk about parking.
Okay.
And, if we could maybe try to take a page out of Flemington Borough or Princeton Borough, they have stickers for people. I am an owner on our street, and there is hardly ever parking, and there are cars with Pennsylvania plates, and I don't know if they're renters or owners, and I don't really care, but if a sticker could be issued, and we would have to show that our car is registered to that address, and we could actually park, and I don't have to walk my 2-year-old a mile away to get home after 8-hour day at work. I'd really appreciate if someone could think about that.
You bring up an excellent point, and it's one of the reasons that we've gone after the properties that are owned by the landlords who have subdivided and rented out multiple units, and not just them specifically, but our task force, right, towards landlords. If we can eliminate that altogether, and I do believe that some members of the planning board feel the same way we do. If we can eliminate that altogether, it'll eliminate the congestion, right? So it's not something that I'll be able to fix overnight. I'm not sure what the legality is with regard to the stickers. I would have to look into that. I do know Mr. Timmon at one point in time had sent me an entire packet on Flemington, and a lot of it did make some sense. I just would have to confer with council. I tell you what, if you give us your phone number, or if you wanted to give us your email, we'll keep in touch.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay.
I also just want to say that my husband is an HVAC tech, and there are weeks that he is on call and has to bring his truck home. There's an ordinance that stands that a truck can't be over a certain weight, and it's parked between 7 and 6 a.m. We have a neighbor who apparently consistently called. We didn't know that ordinance stood. His truck has a tracker in it. He tried to park it at my mother-in-law's home in Stewartsville. She lives in the townhouses, and someone there didn't want it there. This is like a serious problem because
Do you have the ticket? Do you have a copy of the ticket?
it was a warning that was put on the vehicle, and we tried to talk to him. The police officer was very nice, and he said, this is a really BS ordinance, but your neighbor keeps calling. And this woman keeps posting pictures of his truck on different Facebook sites. And like, he's on call every 6 weeks, they rotate call, but this is how we make our living, to pay our mortgage, to live here.
You're right.
And I don't know what we're supposed to do. The truck does not fit in our garage. It does not fit in our driveway. I'm sorry.
I know, you don't have to be sorry. How big is the truck?
I don't know the answer to that. I can ask him for the registration out of it when he's on call next week again, but it just worries me because it is how we make our living.
Absolutely. If you can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give, Vicky, can we give her my email address to you? I'm going to give you my email address. If you can send me a copy of the warning so I know what statute they wrote the warning for, and I can research it, and then I can come back and confer with council.
Sure.
Maybe it's an ordinance that's outdated we don't need anymore.
It says something about it can't be over a certain weight between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. It can't be parked.
I'm pretty sure I remember the ordinance because I think my uncle was the reason that it happened.
No, that was changed when we changed the form of government,
Yeah.
that was changed.
Yeah, that's right.
1999.
Yeah. I have a feeling that that's one of the reasons, totally different side of the family, but, you know. But yes, please, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to me, and we'll go ahead and work on that for you, okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Matthew Skirbo, 1073 Pearl Street. I have a few questions for the Housing Authority appointment for tonight.
Mhm.
I'd like to know how many candidates there were for that.
I had asked earlier how many letters we had received,
Yes.
and we only had one in our packet. That's right. Okay.
Okay. And whose appointment was that? Was that council's or mayor's?
It was a council.
Yes.
It was a council appointment.
Council. Okay. And I don't know if someone can answer this. I know Mr. Lutz and Mr. Davis was on council last year when the individual was appointed to an expiring term, I believe. Who was the councilman that made the motion for that? Do you recall? Yes, I believe you're right. It was Bertie Fay, and I believe that the person who was appointed was his direct boss at the time. So I just want you guys to think about that.
Mr. Scarborough, I do believe that I have received a letter of interest from Vicky Branch. I was carbon copied on that resident in town. Mayor, I believe I was carbon copied on a letter that it went to you, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know why that letter was the only letter in our packet. I don't have an answer for that. I will certainly look into it and get back to you.
Thank you. And I have one more question. Maybe you guys can answer this. I want to know whose responsibility is for the weeds that are on the other side of the curb in the town? Is that the town's or is that the property owners?
That's a good question, council.
Property owners. Are you talking about like the sidewalk side?
No.
You're talking about the street side?
Yes.
That's our responsibility. What location are you talking about?
You can pick.
Pick it?
whatever.
All right.
Any street you want. I'm trying to be respectful about it, but we're talking about pollution tonight. We're talking about all these things. When you drive around this town, what's going to make people not want to come here is when you see weeds growing out of the street.
I see it. I see it right here. I see it at the construction sites. And
I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
thank you.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough.
Folks, David Morissette, and I still live at 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I just have a couple of quick questions based on conversations you all had tonight. In terms of the redevelopment plan, we have this thing called the Opportunity Zone where people are going to get great big tax breaks on their capital gains. Is that program time sensitive?
Yes, it is. Excuse me. Yes, it is time sensitive. The federal government, is, specifically the Trump administration, has set aside so many billions of dollars to offset the loss of taxes from the capital gains. If in fact any counties throughout the nation get ahead of us, and they shouldn't be because we have all our work done. We're ready to put a shovel in the ground. You know, we did all our plannings that had our historic districts done. You know, Stan Schreck has 2 years ago started the public meetings, the Blaustein School of Engineering. We are so far ahead. However, if we wait and some town comes up with a cockamamie, you know, center, business center or something, and that money that is set aside to cover the federal tax loss is spent, we're out in the cold. It is a time issue.
Okay, so we want to get this as soon as we can under the, where everybody's comfortable. Okay, there was a thing about modifying the rec ordinance, could somebody let me know which rec leagues currently get funding?
The Steel Hill Bulldogs, Fairtown Falcons, and did the Renegades get it?
We put soccer in there, the Little Liners,
Little
and the youth
Liners.
center, and the senior center.
You're just talking about recreational, right?
No, that is adult recreational.
So there are 4, yes.
So it's 4, okay. Now, which are those rec leagues, are they all shared services?
2 are controlled by the county.
Okay, and 2 they're not controlled or not shared
No,
services?
private insurance, private everything.
Okay. And they all get funded, right?
Councilwoman, if I may, the word control
Yeah.
Well,
is
sorry,
very.
is that the wrong word?
I think that was that.
We all
Yeah.
share services.
Because each each organization has a board, so technically the town doesn't have
Well, the
a
town has-
controlling, they're not, we don't control them.
No, but the resolution states the town
So,
has the board to make certain
right, so we have to go
decisions.
back and take a look at the.
It wasn't passed here, it was passed.
Right, it was passed, actually, Councilman Lynn was the president at the time, and I remember him saying it was all over insurance, he wanted them to retain their own autonomy, and I agree with him. So I do think that that ordinance needs to be looked at. I do think that we should insure them, absolutely 110%, especially the youth leagues. But I don't think that we should have control. Too much government control is a bad thing.
But they get some funding. from the
Oh,
town.
absolutely,
Right,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
which is good, I think it's good. So, one of the things I've heard, and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around, one of the things I've heard is that, we can't really talk about funding the Perth Youth Center because we don't know about the shared service next year. So if the other organizations get funding and they don't have shared services, I don't know why the Perth Youth Center needs shared services to talk about funding.
Why do you bring that up every meeting?
The reason I brought it up was because in the last meeting and in this meeting, you said you couldn't really discuss funding for the Perth Youth Center because you don't know about the shared services agreement.
Well, actually, it's until the next budget's adopted or presented by the mayor.
Right.
But I think you're quoting me, right? I did say that, and to be quite honest with you, that's how I feel. Until there's a shared services agreement in place, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do.
Okay, but rec leagues will probably get funding, no shared services agreement.
So,
It's not $20,000.
right, we haven't given them $20,000. No, the
the
rec
budget last
leagues,
year.
the rec leagues. So I don't give the council doesn't provide $20,000 to the rec leagues, right? And they provide
How much
just
rec-
as much,
how
if
much-
not more, recreation than the Firth Youth Center. And I can tell you that because, well, I've been involved in rec leagues for 20 years.
Well, they provide more rec services. The Perth Youth Center provides all kinds of services.
Sure they do, absolutely.
Right.
And they're compensated for those. They have a membership fee, right?
Well, there's a $15 membership fee for a child.
Do they have investors?
And the
Do they have investors?
the membership fee covers many
Right.
programs for that.
So what I'm asking is, do they have investors? Because the rec leagues do not have investors.
Yeah, contributors, right.
Who, the rec leagues?
No, the Perth Youth Center.
Oh, okay,
has
so
contributors.
contributors,
Right.
okay,
As do the rec leagues.
absolutely not.
Do the people, when they have their children go in to play sports, do they generally pay a fee?
Not all the time.
Not all the time, but do they generally pay a fee?
If they're supposed to, yes.
And the fee runs about,
Anywhere between $20 and $35.
okay, so,
50.
so I'm just,
Yeah, but you're misleading here. Each thing that the youth center does, they charge a trial.
no, they don't.
Okay?
funded by somebody.
Or they're funded by
They
somebody.
even charge the organizations to use.
But I was responding to Mark's comment. My
Councilman,
understanding is that